This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Who will be victorious tonight? The Lionheart Retro Series presented by DMLC Racing Channel starts now.
Gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's time for the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of Season 4 of the Lionheart Retro Series presented by DMLC Racing Channel. This is the -273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis, and all this simulated retro Lotus 79 action coming your way from Green Flag to Victory Donuts streams your way live as it happens right here on the iRacing eSports Network. From the hallowed grounds of the world's greatest racing facility in the Yard of Bricks, welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience Countdown to the Green. Alongside of Peter Mackay, I'm Jason Galvin. Join you in the virtual press box here tonight. The banker Brian Yazik has the evening off. It's the -273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Sean Ambrose directing, Dougie Beard on the cameras here from Indy. The month of June is underway for the Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX. And tonight we bring you the first of 4 races, plus a qualifying night for the first time ever here this month on the iRacing eSports Network and the Global Sim Racing Channel. We start here at the IMS Road Course, and this particular layout constructed at the turn of the century. In recent years, this track has served as a welcoming party to Indy race cars in the month of May, and here in real life, and on the sim side of things with Lionheart, it will now serve as the welcoming party for the month of June. Let's show you around this place with our GSRC track guide.
All right, we've got Juhan Noralampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Indianapolis. It's a hugely long stretch down into Turn 1. Not only will drivers be punching a giant hole in the air to provide a big slipstream, but the heavy braking into 1 also makes this easily the most ideal place for a pass. But the difficulty in overtakes here is that the chicane and then Turn 3 require a light right foot. You might see some drivers go for a pass and then blow it. Turn 4's braking is also particularly tricky with how unsettled the car tends to be. 5 will be flat out, but then you've got to try to bring it back across the track to help open up the patience try in Turn 6. Hug the left side for a good line into 7, where it's critical to keep wheel spin from messing up your exit. This brings you onto the backstretch, and if you're slow here, you can bet drivers will be eager to send one up the inside into Turn 8. That's the only other heavy braking zone during the lap, meaning there's few good places to pass here. And this is another finicky little section where the corners tighten as they go. Afterwards, you come to 11, where you need to make sure you're getting yourself a good line. Use a bunch of the curb on the inside, and then, as soon as you feel safe, put the power down. You're not going to be lifting from here to the end of the lap, so momentum will be everything. The downforce of the Lotus means it's not really worth drifting all the way to the wall. Stay low through the oval portion, let it swing off to the outside on the front stretch, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Indianapolis.
And as we welcome you back in to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And look at that beautiful camera shot by Dougie Beard. You saw the virtual downtown Indianapolis. Love me some downtown Indy. St. Elmo's Steakhouse. It's not much better than that. We bring in my broadcast partner here for this evening, Peter. This track splits opinions across the board. Ryan Yazik's normally my co-commentator. He and I had a furious debate about this place this week. I love this layout. He's not much of a fan. What do you say?
I have to say I'm a big fan, especially in this Lotus 79. I mean, to be honest, driving around your local Target car park in a Lotus 79 would be pretty cool. But Indianapolis Motor Speedway, of course, is just a historic venue anyway. But the road course, I think it's a really interesting layout. Very flat, of course, but a good challenge for the drivers. And I have to say it holds a special place in my heart because fellow Scotsman John McPhee got his first ever MotoGP podium here a couple of years ago. And of course, this road course has played host to many different categories of motorsport. Of course, IndyCar, Formula One briefly, and MotoGP. So we've got 2.6 miles, 13 turns, and plenty overtaking opportunities. I think that's the best part about this road course layout here at Indianapolis.
We're qualifying right now here at IMS and in the Lionheart series, both on the retro and IndyCar side of things at a road course. It's a 10-minute qualifying session, single car out on the track, 4 laps. Take your best of those 4 laps. Trying to get an idea who that is screaming towards us there. Kind of look like Aaron Morgan's car as we go through qualifying here. Oh, it's actually, I understand, it's one of the newcomers to the Lionheart series here, Mike Rasmus, who was the fastest car in practice. Call your family, call your friends, because there are some serious new challengers to the top of the grid here this week. Mike Rasmus was quickest in practice ahead of Ryan Otis. Sage Karam was third. Luis Diaz, former world champion sports car driver, as teammates with Adrian Fernandez, is up there. And speaking of Adrian Fernandez, he is entered and making his Lionheart debut here tonight. That is right. One of the most fabled Mexican drivers of all time, Adrian Fernandez, competing here in the Lionheart series along with Sage Karam, of course, Tony Kanaan over on the IndyCar side of things as well. So we're super excited to see how this plays out here tonight. And as I mentioned, you have Fernandez and his teammate Luis Diaz, who was a champion in the American Le Mans Series in LMP2 back in 2009, driving for the Fernandez Racing team. As qualifying continues here, I want to remember the countdown to the green brought to you by Sim Experience, the AccuForce steering system, the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. Check out the entire Sim Experience line of products. Head on over to simexperience.com. What do you say we take a look at the point standings here? As you see Mr. Fernandez out there on the track, and it's Ryan Otis leading the way. 28 points up on Sage Karam after last race at Phillip Island, in which Sage Karam won and Ryan Otis Ryan Otis won. I flipped the script on you. And Sage Karam did not finish in a stunning turn of events for Mr. Road Course to not finish on a road course. George Sandman, Aaron Morgan, they're both right there in the championship standings presented by DMLC Racing Channel. Sliding things over now to the Lionheart Retro Series team standings page. This is presented by our good friends HyperX. We are all gamers, and it's still the Paulson Otis Wardlow team up in front now for Raven Motorsports Black. They've jumped Raven Motorsports Silver after that disappointing run for Karam at the last race, and Otis with the win. Dustin Wardlow had a strong top 5 as well at Phillip Island. Senrock Esports just hanging out there in third, but they got a lot of company right there with Unacceptable and Avatar, both right behind them. Moving over to the rookie standings, this is presented by our good friends at Butt Kicker, and you'll see it is Chris Reagan, 5 points up on classy Jason Bossy. Richie Hearn coming on strong is Richie Hearn, the original Lionheart IndyCar real-life star here. And he is now tied for second place in the rookie standings here, presented by Butt Kicker. Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX. It's the premier open-wheel racing league here on iRacing with 2 great series. Of course, the Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment that will race on this track next Wednesday. And tonight's featured series, Lionheart Retro Series, presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. Both series, of course, race in memory of the late, great Dan Weldon. Let's take a look at the series details presented by our good friends at minus 273. This is the 4th season of the Retro Series, and this is round number 7 of 18, closing in on halfway here. 2 drop weeks allowed in the points. This is the Lotus 79 Formula One car with the Justice Fixed setups built by Andrew Kinsella. Over $6,500 in cash and prizes on the line. Series details brought to you thanks to minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. I just took mine off after running a Classic 87 Cup car race. Industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable and made of breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or sim racer, minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. If you want more info on minus 273's awesome full line of gloves and apparel, head to minus273.biz. minus273.biz. Don't forget the promo code LHRS gets you 25% off your order. It is a smoking deal. Do not miss it. As you look at the current provisional pole sitter, that is Sage Karam, and that tells us Mr. Rasmus's time was probably a little bit of a draft-induced there in practice, as Sage Karam right now with a 0.3 of a second jump over Ryan Otis, George Sandman, Luis Diaz, Richie Hearn. That's your top 5 as they sit right now. Chris Reagan, Rasmus, Jason Bossi, Adrian Fernandez, Dustin Wardlow. That's the top 10 as they run with 2 minutes left here in qualifying. And let's see if Sage can come around here and click off a lap better than that 1:18.411. Survey says Sage is not going to get it done, doesn't look like. But he does have one more lap. You're on board now with Ryan Otis, defending series champion and a race winner at Phillip Island 1 week ago. 1 race ago, 2 weeks ago, I suppose. Peter, you look at this car, and you look at this track, and you can't help but think the passing opportunities down that front straightaway, especially since this is the old GP layout, the original GP layout. You get that big run out of the infield section, up onto the short chute, into what is turn 1 of the oval track, and all the way down past what is pit entrance during the Indy 500. I got to imagine we're going to see a lot of fun passing opportunities there.
We definitely are, I think. And coming down into turn 1, you really have the opportunity to take on a little bit more ambitious braking manoeuvres into there, because you do have quite a lot of room to play with, and you can pull off a block pass down there if you deem it necessary. So we could see some action in the later stages of the races. I was watching some of the action from Phillip Island last time out, and well, you couldn't get 2 more different circuits. Of course, the road course here at Indianapolis is very much a kind of stop and start. You're on the brakes, it's very technical, you're on and off the throttle, whereas Phillip Island is, it's a scary track. You just hang on for dear life and let the ground effect of these Lotus 79 just pull you around the corner like a slot car.
As we finish up qualifying here, and we do have something exciting to tell all you fans about here. The HyperX, of course, the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, has announced prizes for Lionheart fans. That's right, we've got fans of the Lionheart Racing Series that have a chance to win prizes here during the month of June. It all starts with the HyperX Indianapolis 500 Race for the Pole as part of the Lionheart IndyCar Series on Wednesday, June 24th. If you can guess the fastest qualifying driver, so the driver who wins the pole, you will win a Cloud Alpha S Blackout Gaming headset. It's a $130 headset. If you can guess the top 5 qualifying positions, or the person who gets it closest by guessing the top 5 drivers, you will win an Alloy Elite RGB mechanical gaming board, a Pulsefire Dart gaming mouse, and Fury Ultra RGB mouse pad. That's almost a $300 value. Then, on Sunday, June 28th, during the HyperX Indianapolis 500, guess the leader at lap 100. That's the halfway point, of course. You'll also win a Cloud Alpha S Blackout Gaming headset. Tweet the driver with the fastest lap of the race. You'll win a Pulsefire Dart. That's a $99 value. And if you can guess the 2020 HyperX Indianapolis 500 champion, you will win that same package At the end of qualifying, the Alloy Elite RGB mechanical gaming keyboard, the Pulsefire Dart gaming mouse, and the Fury Ultra RGB mousepad. Another almost $300 value. Let me do my really quick math here. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have almost $1,000 worth of product that HyperX is giving away to you, the fans who are watching this right now. So make sure that you tweet in your answers using the hashtag HX500. HX500 is the hashtag. We'll go over all of those things you need to do to win as we move forward with this race and the rest of the month of June here in the Lionheart Series. Let's take a look at our butt kicker starting grid, and it is, of no surprise, Sage Karam on the pole. Once again, the 10th pole of his Lionheart Retro Series career. Ryan Otis will start in the second position. George Sandman and the newcomer, Luis Diaz, will start in row number 2. Richie Hearn and Chris Reagan in row 3. Mike Rasmussen in his debut alongside Jason Bossy in row 4. And there is Adrian Fernandez, the winner of 9 races in his IndyCar career, starting in row number 5 alongside Dustin Wardlow. Peter, take away the next 5.
In 11th position in the 97 car will be Lionel Callisto. Beside him on row 6 will be Aaron Morgan. On row 7 will be James Paulson and Trevor Malone. Row 8 will be David Clymer and Finian DeCuna. On row 9 will be Robert Mikes and Scott Holmes. And row 10, Ryan Corns and Bruno Miranda.
Row number 11, it's Ricky Harden and Travis Jagerlander. George Anzaldo and Michael Gray in row 12. Then it's Paul Jenkins and Tommy Ryan. Dean Mardi Gras Mole, Sam Crow. These are all cards that didn't take a time. Mike Rigney and Adam Young back there in row 15. And the final 2 cars will be Tyson Landis and Scott McClendon, who was a top 5 car in practice. Either didn't take a qualifying lap or didn't get a clean one in. Starts back there in row 16. In fact, if I recall, Scott McClendon might have an end of longest line penalty. Let's take a look at the onboard cameras here for tonight's race, and we will start with the 48 of Aaron Morgan, Pit Lane Parlay, the best podcast for exclusive IndyCar content year-round at pitlaneparlay.com. Your defending series champion and Ryan Otis, the HyperX onboard, whatever you play, however you play it, HyperX knows we're all gamers. Promo code LionHRT15, hyperxgaming.com. Minus 273 is on board with our next driver here, and that is David Clymer. Minus 273.biz with the promo code LHRS. They're durable, breathable, and lightweight gloves. And Ricky Harden, follow him on Twitch, Hard in the Wall. Your final on board. Pace car peels off. We are ready to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the GP circuit. 48 laps, 125 miles. And it'll be Sage Karam and Ryan Otis bringing us to the green. The laundry's in the air and we're underway here in Indianapolis, and Richie Hearn shot out of a cannon on the outside along with Chris Reagan. Splitting drivers there immediately. Karam clears Otis. Sandman in third. The teammates Hearn and Reagan side by side as we head into turn 1. Trying to get through there clean. So far, everybody looks good through 1. Off a 2, a clean start here at Indy.
Great discipline from all the drivers. It's easy to get tangled up in these open wheel cars coming into turn 1, but we did see quite a few moves on the brakes there, even on cold tyres and cold brakes. Of course, a very short pace lap here, just about maybe 25% of the lap, so these tyres will still be pretty cold.
Down to what a lot of us like to call the back straight here, the only straightaway in the infield section, and so far, a clean opening lap it looks like here in the Retro Series. Bruno Miranda get a little out of shape back there, but nobody who's really had any off-track incidents so far as we roll through the tight section, and already Sage Karam's back on the loud pedal, up out of the final infield corner and up onto the big oval here at IMS, the most storied racetrack in the world. And Sage Karam has already opened himself up a 1-second lead on Ryan Otis. Look at him trying to break the draft, Peter.
Yeah, he's weaving around, not wanting Ryan Otis to get anywhere near him. This is Sage Karam put in a fantastic first lap there, and he knows that if he can check out, he can control the race from there. Of course, we have a pit stop middle of the way through this race, so he'll want to get himself a nice cushion so he can control his strategy.
Yeah, we're told the here tonight will be anywhere between 5 and 6, which means it's a one-stop race. As we look at the butt kicker race analysis for this one, again, 48 laps, 26 laps, the most on fuel. There's a 25. You also lose 10 points if you get that far. If you run a clean race, 0 incidents, you get a bonus point here in the Lionheart series.
Yep, and there should be a good chance for our drivers to do that. You know, the Indianapolis road course is not too bad it's not too harsh on track limits, things like that. So hopefully we'll see quite a few drivers running clean in this race.
On board, this is the battle between Mike Rasmus and Jason Bossy, it looks like right now. You're on board with Rasmus, looking forward. You notice Jason Bossy's got a new paint scheme up there. I do believe his entire team this week are switching over from the Mark Blundell tribute liveries that they've been running to all black cars in support of movements happening across our country. Jason, one of those cars that has switched his paint over. And look at this in front. Got a battle for position. Rasmus next to Chris Reagan. Las Vegas native and teammate Richie Hearn. Boy, that's a tough spot to go side by side. Rasmus on the outside. Going to try to make it work. If he does, he'll have the advantage here into the sharp right-hander and makes the pass work. Beautiful move by Rasmus.
So Sage Karam on qualifying pace there in lap 2. A 1 minute 18.6. He was 1 minute 18.4 in qualifying. And Sage Karam was 0.3 faster than Ryan Otis on second on the grid. But the gap from second place on the grid to 10th on the grid was only 0.4 of a second. So behind Sage Karam, it's really close.
Boy, you got a battle back behind Rasmus. And dropping like a rock right now is Chris Reagan. Rasmus gets around, Bossy gets around. Reagan with nowhere to go there.
One here. Coming down into turn 1, it's all big braking maneuvers. You've got to. This is going to benefit the drivers who have put in the practice time, because picking that very specific braking point and knowing when your last chance braking point is going to be so important there into turn 1. And if you want to pull a block past, well, you can even go a little bit past that last chance braking point.
Not sure what happened, but Tyson Landis has retired from this race. So your first car out is Tyson Landis. Haven't seen any big wrecks anywhere. George Anzaldo's your biggest loser. He's down 9 spots. He's actually the last car running right now. And your biggest gainer so far, Scott McClendon, who had to start at the back of the pack, up 11 spots. He's already just about into the top 20 as you continue to ride on board with Chris Reagan. In fact, let's switch over and take a look at Scott McClendon. We got trouble at the back there. Trouble coming onto the street. Take a look at our GSRC replay.
Just gets a little bit loose coming around this twisty section here. Just as he gets on the power, just loses it. Of course, these Lotus 79s have a lot of horsepower from that iconic Cosworth DFV motor that revs to 10,000 RPM. But he's got back and going, and no harm, no foul.
Taking a look at Richie Hearn now, and Richie currently sitting in the 3rd position with George Sandman just behind. Battle for the final podium spot. Not to put the announcer's jinx on Richie so far, but we're 5 laps in, and his internet connection seems rather stable this week. So it'd be nice to see that be a continued trend. And don't look now, but just behind Sandman, see that orange and purple car creeping up there? That is one of the newcomers here tonight, Luis Diaz, 42-year-old Mexican native.
Yeah, Diaz and Fernandez, of course, had a lot of success in the American Le Mans Series back in 2009 at the wheel of a car that many iRacing users will be very familiar with, the Acura 01, the ERX 01, I apologise. Yeah, they're both of those guys, Diaz and Fernandez, showing really strongly in this very tightly contested field, particularly Diaz there in that purple, orange and white car. Very impressive debut in this Lionheart Racing Series so far for them.
Diaz was also the runner-up in 2005 and 2006 in the Rolex Daytona Prototype Drivers' Championship. So certainly a lot of very, very competitive experience for Diaz at a national and international level in road course racing, and showing his chops here in the L79 tonight as he's worked his way up to the 5th position. Diaz started this race actually in 4th and dropped back. He didn't get a great start. That was the driver that was split by Reagan and Richie Hearn. As we slide back now and look at his teammate Adrian Fernandez, and boy, will you recognize that livery, won't you? If you're an IndyCar fan or a kart fan, I got to apologize. I said off the top he had 9 IndyCar wins in his career. He had 8 in kart and 3 in IndyCar, so 11 total. When I said IndyCar, counting all of open wheel, of course. I thought it was 9. It's actually 11. Turns out I'm not very good at math, but what a phenomenal career Adrian Fernandez had as you ride on board with the Mexico City native, currently in the 10th position, trying to chase down Aaron Morgan. And I tell you what, Adrian, you're new to the Lionheart series, but if you follow the Retro series, you know. If you follow Aaron Morgan and you just have a clean race, there's a really good chance that you're going to find yourself up near the front mixing things up. So Adrian's in a good spot. And by the way, right behind him right now is Dustin Wardlow. So Adrian's split by a couple of pretty experienced Retro Series drivers here. In fact, the Candyman just got around Adrian as they got off into turn 1. My monitor feed blinked out, and there went the Candyman around Adrian. And now look at the Candyman trying to close in on Aaron Morgan as well.
Yeah, fantastic move on the brakes there from Wardlow in the Candy Mobile. Very, very good. That must have felt pretty cool for him to pass Adrian Fernandez on the brakes at Indianapolis.
Sliding back here and taking a look at our sim experience driver profile. This is Trevor Malone. 8 starts in the Lionheart Retro Series career. He has 1 pole. You know when that was? Way back in Season 1, Race 1. Trevor Malone was the pole winner at the first ever Lionheart Retro Series event at Homestead Miami Speedway, a race that was won by yours truly. 1 top 5 in his career, 2 top 10s for Trevor Malone. And the best finish was at Homestead. That's when he came in 4th place at the season opener this year for one Trevor Malone. Currently, Malone is running around, where's he at? 14th place, it looks like. 14th for Trevor Malone. Checking back in on Aaron Morgan. He's got company. The Candyman is there, Dustin Wardlow. I got my Dewars shoes ready to go. Peter, we got to get you some of those, I think. On board with Aaron Morgan, looking out the back.
I'm Scottish. I'm always up for free stuff. That's for sure.
Do you guys do taffy chews in Scotland?
Well, I tell you what we do, and interestingly, that car behind the Dewar's candy machine, we do have actually Dewar's Scotch whiskey, which is the most popular Scotch whiskey in the United States, and it was founded in the town of Perth, where I am currently standing right now.
Look at that, boy! We just dropping all sorts of knowledge about the two of us here in the last 90 seconds. I've enjoyed me a good glass of Dewar's once or twice. I like to mix it with, you Scottish people won't like this, but it's an Italian thing, so I apologize. I like to mix my scotch with a Di Serono, called the Godfather if you're of Italian descent. It's a little tip for you out there. 50-50. Somebody try it.
I'm going to go and try that.
Like
That
I'm
sounds
telling you,
quite fun.
You will enjoy it. 50-50 Scotch and Di Serono up. You will enjoy it quite a bit. The Dewars candy machine. Dewars is the Scotch, Dewars is the candy, and Dustin Wardlow's making a move on Aaron Morgan. This is for 9th position down the front straightaway, hard on the brakes, and Wardlow in that white, cream, and red car will make the move and move up into the 9th position. Dustin started 10th, fell back a couple spots. He's made them both back up now, and I know Wardlow likes this track a lot. I know he loves this car. He's very good in it, of course. He's won in it several times, and starting to pick his way through the field here. Although he's now got 3 seconds to chop off if he wants to get to the next battle, and that's Jason Bossy and Chris Reagan, which is actually a pretty good battle up there in front of Dustin Wardlow for P7. I think it's, boy, I love that camera shot by Dougie Beard. The next time we come through there, we got to look at that again because you see the skyline of downtown Indianapolis. It's just beautiful. As you ride, this is off the back of Jason Bossy, and that is Chris Reagan in the chrome and highlighter green car. No word yet. Brian Yazik was supposed to be working on highlighter sponsorships for both Chris Reagan and Richie Hearn, and I don't think he's made it happen yet. But if anybody out there has any tie-ins to any of the highlighting making companies, Reagan and Hearn, they could definitely use your sponsorship assistance here. Bossy Boy is actually almost pulling away from Chris Reagan here at this part of the track. Peter, this is the part where I thought Chris Reagan could get a big old toe and have a chance to make a move.
He's just making it ever so slightly, just creeping his way up the straight here. You can just see slowly closing in, but perhaps just keeping his powder dry here. But he definitely gained a car length or two down that front straight over the yard of bricks. Now, I have to say, this is my first time on the Lionheart series, and it is so cool to see such a big field of Lotus 79 cars, because of course in 1978 when Mario Andretti, of course a guy very familiar with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, won the Formula One championship in convincing style in this car, and this car really changed Formula One with its ground effect aerodynamics, with its side skirts. And you know, actually in Formula One that year, I bet you every driver was wanting a Lotus 79. So if you were a driver in the 1978 Formula One World Championship and you were watching this, you go, God, I wish that was I wish that was like the championship that year and we all got a Lotus 79 to try and beat Mario. But do you know what? I doubt the result would be much different.
And of course, Peter, many of the concepts that were applied from this car or learned from this car found their way rather quickly over here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And at the time, what was a USAC sanctioned series, and ended up at the Indianapolis 500, and shaped a lot of the cars of the 80s that we're also familiar with, the Rick Mears car, as well as you think back to like the Gordon John Cock STP car. A lot of those cars got a lot of their design ideas from this very race car. You're looking at the battle for fourth position right now, and that is George Sandman and Luis Diaz, and we're sliding back now to P9, which has apparently heated up again. Dustin Wardlow and Aaron Morgan. Boy, these two have swapped spots a couple times, and Adrian Fernandez is there. Joe Fernandez is around, and James Paulson hits him. Oh, no. Adrian Fernandez loops it, and James Paulson got into him. In the keyhole, let's take another look.
It's this typical Indy road course crash here. You've got so many changes of direction, and just loses it on coming in on corner entry. So easy to do. You know, if Adrian Fernandez can do it, anyone can do it.
James Paulson just kind of guessed wrong. I got to tell you, I think everybody got out of there pretty clean. Looking at Adrian's car, at least, he got, kind of doored, pardon the lack of any other phrase there, but his car looks okay. And as I check in on James Paulson's car, which I thought would not have much of a front wing left, it turns out it's got all of the front wing left. So two of them got a little lucky, it looks like. Paulson falls back to 15th, while Adrian had to sit and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and he fell all the way to 22nd. So if you're watching at home with the Track Pass scanner program, Adrian Fernandez might be a good onboard camera to follow for the rest of this event as he tries to work his way through the field. Working lap 12 here at Indianapolis. Don't want to forget about the leader, so might as well check back in on him and let you know Sage Karam is gone. 5-second lead over Ryan Otis, just short of it at this point for the Nazareth, Pennsylvania native and the veteran of 18 IndyCar Series races throughout his career. The 2010 USF 2000 national champion, two-time Star Mazda champion, Sage Karam, and he has checked out here in this one. Let's take a look at the HyperX onboard camera, and this is the driver trying to chase down Sage Karam, although let's be honest, at this point he's just hoping that Sage makes a mistake. Ryan Otis, your defending series champion, sits in P2. The Oregonian and SCCA time trial champion is Ryan Otis, the Raven Motorsports black entry. He's proud to finally check off a championship in his Lionheart career 1 year ago, and he's your points leader. To nobody's surprise here. Middle of Season 4. Richie Hearn in P3, Peter.
Paige Karam, the only guy to get under 1 minute 19 seconds so far with a 1 minute 18.6, which he conveniently put in very early in the race and was able to break away from the field. But looking at Richie Hearn on screen, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway has a lot of fond memories for him. Of course, getting on the podium at the Indianapolis 500 all the way back in 1996. And of course, Richie, I guess we can call Richie GSRC's own, can't we? He gets on the behind the microphone from time to time.
Absolutely. Richie Hearn, 1996, as you mentioned, third place finisher in Indianapolis, and then went on later that year to win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the first IndyCar Series event at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. On board here with Luis Diaz in the 5th spot. Boy, it might not be for long. Look at this. Big run on George Sandman, who's defending way down by the pit wall. He's going to make Diaz pop to the outside as they head off into turn 1. And can Diaz make it stick is the question. Rasmus is there as well. Not now. Rasmus going to stick his nose in. Diaz couldn't cross over because of it. Sandman gets away. Look at him side by side. Diaz is around. Diaz spins it. Rasmus stuck his nose in there, and Luis Diaz goes around in turn number 2. Gonna keep
Diaz
it going.
Getting a little bit target fixation there from Diaz. He was concentrating too much on the car in front, and then perhaps just at the last moment saw the other car on the outside and just loops it. Just got a wee bit distracted there on coming out of turn 1.
Maybe just a little bit too much of the curb there for Luis Diaz, who falls back to the 12th position now. So both Diaz and Fernandez getting acclimated to the IndyCar and Retro Series here in the Lionheart action, and they're both learning very quickly that in Lionheart, the one thing that holds true in every event, you cannot make a mistake. A mistake here is, by all intents and purposes, race ending usually as far as your chances to compete. Very, very rarely does somebody make a mistake in either of these series and battle back into a strong, podium, top 5 finishing position. And it'll be interesting to watch both Diaz and Fernandez try to fight back. Now let's check in on David Clymer. Trying to make a move here is Clymer, and this is on Aaron Morgan. Battle for 9th. Clymer's going to get there. Look at that Sim Pit 46 car outbraking Aaron Morgan into turn 1. Making a clean pass.
Brilliant move into turn 1 there. Very, very good from David Clymer. Now, just a mention on pit stops. We know that these drivers are going to run a maximum of 26 laps of the 48 before they need to come in. Of course, the Lotus 79 running with a very limited fuel cell under the rules of the series. So we should see some drivers coming into pit lane. Now, Jason, if you're Sage Karam, what do you think the strategy is? Do you just keep turning laps while you're out ahead, and or what do you do?
Well, I think when you look at the fact that you can run to just past halfway on a tank of fuel, I'd be pretty surprised to see anybody coming on the short end of that here. The one thing that we've learned about this car in this series is tires don't mean a whole lot. Although I'll say this, Phillip Island, and I did not get a chance as you ride on the Ricky Harden the Wall on board here back in 19th spot. I did not get a chance to run this car this week, and so I'm not sure if the tire wear is comparable to Phillip Island. But at Phillip Island, we had drivers who did not take any tires for the whole race and paid dearly at the end. Normally, that's not the case in this car. This is a no-tire car in the Lionheart Series on ovals or road courses. But there were drivers at Phillip Island, Peter, who were finishing the race with 0% left on the front tires. Boy, I got a car sliding here in front of Ricky Harden. That was a great save. Bobby Mikes. Harden's going to get around.
Circuit. So the Phillip Island circuit is just notorious for tires. I mean, of course, the MotoGP World Championship goes there every year. And as we see it coming through the infield here, good move there. The Phillip Island circuit is notorious for tires. It was resurfaced a couple of years ago, and actually the MotoGP race had to be split into two, where riders had to come in and take their spare bike because it was tearing the tires apart. Of course, so many really fast, high-speed corners like Stoners Turn 3. I'm not surprised it's heavy on the tires. Here at Indy, at the road course, the corner speeds are pretty low. So yeah, you're right. It shouldn't be a problem for tire.
Boy, Ricky Harden really cut that corner. Hang on to it, I was going to say. The laps I've run preparing for our IndyCar race next week, I know that you cannot cut that corner too much on the throttle coming back up onto the big oval, or it will do exactly what it tried to do to Ricky there. The difference is, with this car, you can kind of power slide it. In the Indy car, you cannot. Battle for the 13th spot here. This is Finian D'Acunha trying to hold off Bruno Miranda. Finian in the black car. We mentioned that team with Finian and Jason Fossey. They switched over to all black cars to show their solidarity with the national protest happening across our country right now. And Finian has been able to move up into the 13th spot here. And check out a little bit on Bruno Miranda, who's now got James Paulson right behind him. Oh boy, around goes Finian. Oh, the announcer's curse. We've done that about 4 times tonight, haven't we? Finian goes around. Bruno Miranda, Paulson, Scott Holmes all get through. And we'll chug on, and if we move back up there, Bruno Miranda is going to have company from James Paulson here, I think. Not quite there as they head off into the corner, but going to be pretty close. Depends on how Paulson can get through this infield section. Might have a run as they come back out. David Clymer's around out of 9th place. Just in front of these cars, David Clymer's around, and now Bruno's going to have a chance to make a run on Clymer out onto the front straight.
Yeah, quite narrow here in the Indy road course as well. So if you do get a driver spinning in front of you, it's difficult to take evasive action. So yeah, that's not ideal for the drivers following behind as we head on board with Bruno Miranda right now. Very, very colourful car there for him. So we head down into turn 1, and here you just brake as late as you dare, down the gears and try to carry the speed into turn 1 and 2.
Up ahead of these guys, Luis Diaz has recovered from that spin so far. He just got around Trevor Malone up to 10th, and he's trying to run down Aaron Morgan as you check in on Diaz here, and that is Trevor Malone, our driver profile, who is just behind.
Yeah, Diaz recovering after that spin, coming down into turn 1, recovering well, back into the top 10 in that 29 car. Not too long, just a few more laps now before we see some pit stops, and whoa, Diaz getting really loose through the switchback section there. So 19 laps complete of this race so far.
Battle for 4th, and this is Rasmus and Sandman. And they're going to go side by side. Hold on, baby. Look at George Sandman making that work. And now he's got the preferred position. Defensive driving clinic by the HPP driver there, and George Sandman.
Brilliant move there from Sandman. Of course, around that first section, you do have options, and it's all about thinking your way around that section, just plotting your move carefully. But this isn't over, of course. As long as you can be behind, very close to the driver in front, coming out of the last corner, you've got a great chance to slipstream down the front straight and then go hard on the brakes up the inside into turn 1.
Well, I didn't see what happened, but Scott McClendon is on pit road and was just given a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact. McClendon was a heavy mover for us. I see Dean Mall is out of the race now. I don't think he was part of that. And it looks like there was some internet issues going in and out there. So hard to pick up on who he might have got into. But Scott McClendon has picked up an avoidable contact penalty. But he's also parked on pit road. I'm not sure he's going to have to actually serve that here. It might carry over into the next race in the Indianapolis Oval 2 weeks from tonight. Sandman and Rasmus, and we're on board with Rasmus.
So George Sandman in front, of course, had a very consistent season so far. 1 win and 3 top 5s out of the first 6 races, and right now he's sitting in position to clock up another one. So as we reach lap 20 of this Indianapolis Grand Prix here in the Lionheart Racing Series, sponsored by HyperX. As we're riding on board, you get a great impression of the speed here. Of course, this Lotus 79, one of the first ever ground effect cars, it was actually 2 seconds faster a lap than the Lotus 78 that it replaced, and has spring-loaded carbon fibre side skirts which suck the car down into the ground and making it a real handful for its competitors. As we come down into turn 1, hard on the brakes, and Sandman's able to defend.
We are closing in, as Peter said, on the potential for pit stops here. About 2 laps from being in that pit window, it looks like. And when we run through the top 10, so we get ready to hit pit lane, Sage Karam is your race leader. He's led every lap from the pole with a 6-second lead over their points leader and defending series champion, Oregon's Ryan Otis, as you ride on board with the HyperX machine. Richie Hearn back there in P3, started 5th. Great run for the Las Vegas resident, California native Richie Hearn up there. George Sandman, that's a battle we've been watching here for most of the last 10 laps, sitting in 4th spot with the rookie newcomer Mike Rasmussen, his series debut, just behind them as you look off the engine cover and back at Rasmussen. Now you're on board. Rasmussen, a beautiful blue and orange helmet for the number 52 car. It's kind of a unique number for racing. Chris Reagan, the teammate of Richie Hearn, started 6th. He runs in 6th right now. And behind Chris Reagan, you have Classy Jason Bossy. Bossy sits about a 1.5 seconds back of Reagan, and also has himself a nice little gap there in the 8th position. Back to Dustin Wardlow. And that's the Candyman currently in P8. Aaron Morgan, Mr. Consistent. We're still waiting for him to start making his way through the field, but still not to halfway, so a lot of time left. Morgan currently sits back there. Well, he did sit in the 9th spot, but that just changed coming down the front straightaway, because don't look now, but Luis Diaz, the former LMP2 world champion, up to the 9th position after that early race spin, and has been able to kind of fight his way back up through the crowd here. That is your top 10. As we mentioned, Aaron Malone sits back there. Aaron Morgan, I should say, sits back there in 11th. And don't look now, but that's Trevor Malone, who's also up there involved in this battle. So Diaz 9th, Morgan 10th, Malone 11th. And that's your run through the top 10 plus 1 here at Indianapolis. No pit stops yet as we come around to work lap 23 here at IMS.
Luis Diaz, he's just set his fastest lap of the race there, 1:19.5. So he's definitely on the move. The rest of the drivers set their faster pace early on in the race, but Luis Diaz really making up for lost time. Looking back, there you go. You get a look at the big Venturi tunnel underneath these Lotus 79s as they head through the final corner up onto the super speedway banking here at Indianapolis. But this gives you a great impression of just how important it is to be right behind the car in front. Number 91 there, the Brazilian. Will he take a look up the inside?
Chance to be 3 wide as we head off into the corner, boy, and that was Lionel Callisto with Bruno Miranda and Scott Holmes, and that's the battle for 14th, 15th, and 16th there. And Little Train, as we call Lionel, did a nice job holding them off. Of course, got his first Lionheart win 2 events ago at Pocono on the oval. Bruno Miranda is around, and Scott Holmes, oh man, get your Huggies out, Scott. You're going to need a new one after that.
Holmes did very well to avoid the contact there. Of course, your speeds are so high in these Formula One cars that you've got to be reacting very quickly. But thankfully, that moment happened actually relatively slowly, so you could see the back end of that car breaking out and thinking, "Oh, I've got to make a move here."
What a beautiful move that was for Holmes. Oh, Scott Holmes is around, boy. The announcer's curse never ending here at Indianapolis. And Sandman and
We
Rasmus
are
were into
infectious.
turn one side by side. Yeah.
Our curse is infectious tonight, Jason.
Who's your least favorite driver? Send us $20 and we'll put the camera on them. Good chance they won't be around come the next lap. Look at Rasmus sending it in there on Sandman. And this could be the lap. I think we're going to see pit stop coming this lap. So have to keep an eye on this too and see whether there's any thought of undercutting on the pit stops here as we close in on the window. You're officially in the pit window as we're halfway. Rasmus, where are you going, Mike? That's not part of the racetrack.
Was Rasmus a newcomer to the series here in Lionheart, but you wouldn't know it judging by his pace so far. He was super quick in practice, and you say running the 52. That's more of a famous number in the motorcycle world. Of course, James Toseland, a double world superbike champion, he very famously ran the 52.
No takers on pit road yet. Looking farther back in the pack. A little surprised. I thought we'd see at least somebody in the top 10. Especially some of these cars that are pretty close to each other. Try to maybe undercut, get a better run onto pit road than the other car. Take that little extra time on pit road, but nothing yet. Clear of halfway here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that time on pit road is going to be really, really important because there's that midfield that's all bunched up. You know, you've got from Rasmus down to, well, Morgan, only 12 or 13 seconds. So, you know, just all it takes is just to run past your pit box and have to move back, and that can make all the difference. So, yeah, I think pit lane is going to get very busy. Of course, here at Indianapolis, it can get very busy in Gasoline Alley, can't it?
Pit stops underway at Indianapolis, and here come the leaders. Sage Karam, Ryan Otis, Richie Hearn, they're all on pit road. George Sandman is in. Mike Rasmus stays out, and so that'll be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, the top four coming into pit lane, flocking into pit lane like sheep, of course. Often is the way. You have to match the leader's strategy sometimes. We're looking at Sage Karam. Oh, he really runs into the Porsche safety car there. And he's back out on track. And it looks like, yes, he's got a little bit of clear air. So that is a dreamland for our leader, Sage Karam. Of course, the last thing you want, if you look at Hearn and Otis, they are going to be in and out some traffic, so that's not good for them.
Look like no tires for Karam or Otis here, so we'll have to see how they negotiate through it. And Richie Hearn can knock some time off of Ryan Otis there on pit road. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we check in now on your new race leader in his first start in the Lionheart Series, Mike Rasmus, from 7th now to the lead here in pit cycles as he is back on the loud pedal out of turn 11 and turn 12 and up onto the big track, but not for long because he's going to have to come to pit road this time. And here he comes around. Mike Rasmus to pit road. As the race leader, he's got some slow cars in front of him too, but they're not going to affect his pit entry time here. And let's see, does Rasmus get to the line and take credit for leading the lap before Sage Karam gets back around? Sure looks like he's going to. Mike Rasmus officially leads a lap in his debut race here in the Lionheart Retro Series. Here comes Karam, though, and he'll easily blow by. Look, Rasmus not even to his pit stall yet. Sage Karam back to the lead. I see back there Chris Reagan is on to pit road. He's also brought some other race cars with him. Jason Bossi, Luis Diaz also coming down pit road. Boy, actually, the Reagan and Bossi battle is going to be really fun to watch as they come out here. There goes Rasmus. Here comes Diaz still. And let's take a look at Bossi and Reagan as they come out of their pit stalls. There goes Reagan. Here comes Bossi. Oh, Travis Jagerleiner got between them. That's going to hurt that battle off. Boy, Bossi. Whoa, Wardlow. Oh, man. Dustin Wardlow just slicing the nose off of Chris Reagan. What move by the Candyman to throw it in there with cars coming off pit road. Let's take another look. Your GSRC replay and watch this for the Bakersfield, California native. Dustin Wardlow. Whoa, baby. Chris Reagan had to be thinking to himself, what just flashed in front of me?
Yeah, very good perception there from Wardlow. He surely would have seen Reagan, and very, very good peripheral vision and good adjustment. Very, very impressive. I tell you what, there must be all that sugar kicking in from that candy, that Dewar's candy. Or perhaps even, hopefully he's saving the Dewar's scotch for later.
They got sugar-free ice cream at Dewar's, I know that. Watermelon ice, by the way. If you ever get out to Bakersfield, try it. It's a must. At Candyman up to P6 after the pit cycles there. Boy, you talk about, I mentioned undercutting, right, Peter? Dustin Wardlow jumps all the way up to the 6th spot with a beautiful pit delta, but he's going to have pressure here from Chris Reagan, it looks like, as they scream down the front straightaway.
Yeah, Reagan looking to take a move here as he moves out. We've seen this move a number of times already in this race, and yet Reagan goes up the inside, hard on the brakes, and Wardlow doesn't make it too difficult for him. Sometimes it's better, if you know a driver's slightly faster than you, it can be more in your benefit to tuck in behind them and learn their lines and also benefit from their draft. Let them do the hard work and tuck in behind. I have to say, I do like the look of that number 19 car of Reagan. It kind of reminds me of the Dario Franchitti cool Indy car, which is, of course, for us Scots, is a good memory.
Speaking of retro cars, there's a livery that needs to be replicated in this. Let's check in on Sandman and Rasmus again. Boy, these two are owe each other a couple of beers by the time this one's done.
Rasmus right in the draft. Look at this. Look at the run he's got. He's got a slightly better exit out at the final corner, and he's just going to breeze by Sandman here. It's like he's got an extra 1,000 revs in his Cosworth DFV as he pulls out. Should be able to make this move stick on the brakes. Here goes the 52 of Rasmus. I tell you what, this is a fantastic debut performance from the 52 man.
Working lap 29 here. We're going to check in with David Clymer, currently running the 11th spot. Was up in the top 10 at one point, had a spin, has recovered. That is Trevor Malone just in front of him, so he's still in battle to get back into the top 10. The minus 273 on-board camera for the Avatar Auto Racing, number 46 of David Clymer. Hang on to it, David. Whoa. Sean, do me a favor. Do me a favor, Sean. Talking to the director here, he's not going to be able to talk back to everybody, but Sean, I just want you to do me a favor and not go to any driver the rest of the race.
That was a huge oversteer moment. Just want to mention Diaz, the number 29 car now. He's back in 14th position. He was really climbing up the order. He was in 9th position before the pit stops, but perhaps had a little bit more time on pit road or a mistake on in-lap or out-lap, because he's back to 14th now, so I'm not sure what's happened to him.
I'm wondering if he maybe took tires. Might have sped on entry and got a penalty as he hit into his stall, but also might have taken tires, and tires will add some time to you here, although usually not that much. I'll tell you this, he did have, he had 10 extra seconds on pit road from everybody else. Everybody else was somewhere between 42 and 43.5 seconds on pit road, and Diaz was on pit road for 53 seconds and spent an extra 6 seconds in his pit stall. So wondering if we maybe had some optional damage to be repaired there, and also there's a possibility that he might have picked up a penalty as well. Looking at Wardlow.
That's a pity, because he was showing good pace.
Dustin Wardlow has closed in on Chris Reagan, and it's the battle for 6 now.
Yeah, this is a great battle for between the Candyman of Wardlow in the Dewar's car and Reagan in the number 19 green and white machine as they head through the final section. And we've seen the places trading here a few times, but it all comes down to how brave you are around that final corner, get on the power, and of course these Lotus 79s, they've just got more grip than you could possibly imagine with all those aerodynamics just gluing the car to the ground. Mario Andretti, he said, you know, the Lotus 79, it gave me everything I needed, and it was a step forward, and right at the very beginning, we knew it was something very big.
Wardlow tried to get a run there, couldn't hit close enough.
This is the hit.
Working lap 31 here of 48 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And as we close in on the final third of this one, we'll take a break and pay some bills. Here you are watching the minus 273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. The Lionheart Retro Series is live on the iRacing Esports Network and the Global Sim Racing Channel. Back live at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and this is Chris Reagan, Dustin Wardlow, and classy Jason Bossy has arrived as well. 6th, 7th, and 8th positions here in the minus 273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Bossy's around. Jason Bossy lost it just behind Wardlow there. He's going to be able to recover. It looks like everything is all right for Bossy. Just got a little bit too hot on the brake pedal. Doesn't lose any spots, just a lot of time. Let's take another look. Bossy, maybe back on the throttle. Very similar to the Diaz spin there, Peter.
Yes, it was. We've seen that a couple of times coming down into turn one. You know, I'm sure the drivers know that's the real opportunity to make a move, or at least to make up ground. And yeah, very easy to get fixated on the car in front and make just the slightest error, and round you go. These are not too forgiving, these cars, when that happens.
Here's your spotlight driver, and this is Trevor Malone trying to chase down Little Train, Lionel Callisto, and there's some lap traffic up there as well. That's not David Clymer in front of Little Train, but he is 2 cars up in front of that. So everybody in line screaming along here as we now have just 20 cars on the lead lap. So Sage Karam is lapped up to the 21st position. So far out of this race, we got Tyson Landis, Dean Mardi Gras Mall, Scott McClendon, Bobby Mikes, and Adam Young are all out. Boy, I don't know what happened, but Adrian Fernandez, it looks like, is also checked out of this race 3 laps ago. So I'm going to have to go check back in and see what happened with Adrian as we check back in on the leader, Sage Karam. And Sage has a very, very comfortable lead, almost 9 seconds on Ryan Otis.
Yeah, it's been a masterclass from Sage Karam. Although you got to give it to Otis and Hearn, who have both had solid races as well. But Sage Karam, you know, he was a karting protege when he was younger. He won 10 different go-karting titles and carried that experience into single-seaters. And as you said earlier, winning the USF 2000 Championship and the 2013 Indy Lights Championship. And he's still only 25.
I got to tell you, I just went and checked in. Adrian Fernandez has a ton of damage on that race car and has called it a night, it looks like. He has brought it to pit road. And I figured out why. He actually did a nice job persevering through it. I also found the reason for Scott McClendon's disqualification and avoidable contact penalty, and it involved Adrian Fernandez. On lap 16, Scott McClendon got into the back of Mike Rigney getting into turn 1, and it shoved Rigney ahead of Fernandez, who was just turning in, and he turned right into Rigney and caused damage for all those race cars. So tough luck for Adrian Fernandez in his debut here in the Lionheart Retro Series, but excited to have him along here in the Lionheart Series and look forward to seeing the longtime kart and IndyCar star and superstar in the sports car world as well next week when we saddle up in the IndyCar here at IMS. This is Aaron Morgan in the 9th position, just ahead of David Clymer right now, and that's one of the best battles on the track.
What I've noticed so far, Jason, is just how good the respect is between these drivers. Of course, they're making it look very easy on camera here, but these are very, very fast cars. Of course, the fastest car of its time in the late 1970s when Formula One really was in a golden period. But fantastic respect from the drivers, really racing hard, but giving good, clean room to their competitors, which for us as fans and commentators, that is a joy to watch. Down they go then into turn 1. It's the number 48, of course, the number made famous by Jimmy Johnson over in the stock car racing world. And of course, rumours starting to circulate that when Jimmy Johnson hangs up his NASCAR helmet at the end of this year, that he might go and dabble in some IndyCar competition.
Which would be pretty entertaining. Of course, Jimmy Johnson was supposed to turn some more laps in an IndyCar earlier this year. So I think there's a real possibility of that may be happening here. We're starting to see more and more. I think that's the difference between the current generation of race car drivers. We're starting to see more and more of them retire, quote unquote, younger in their, early to mid 40s and then go dabble in other things they've always wanted to do. And we're starting to see some of the NASCAR guys do that as well, and Jimmy Johnson moving over and trying some IndyCar races would be a prime example of that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I love drivers who to go out of their usual comfort zone. If you think of someone like Jimmy Johnson, who's won so many NASCAR Cup titles, it's great to be able to extend your palette. And of course, you look at Mario Andretti, the guy who won the Formula One World Championship in this very car we're looking at on screen. He would drive absolutely anything, and he made his name by driving stock cars, Indy cars, Formula One, sprint cars, midgets, you name it, he did it. And he actually used to qualify for Formula One races, fly on Concorde back to the US to do dirt races at the fairgrounds, and then come back and win the Grand Prix on the Sunday. We certainly miss Concorde. I'm sure there's plenty of racing drivers that do.
Looking at Richie Hearn. What a great run it's been for Richie here. In the 3rd position, he's 5 seconds clear of Rasmus back there in 4th. And speaking of, Rasmus has been able to finally separate himself from George Sandman. Let's check on board with Rasmus here in the 4th spot in his series debut. Last time by ran a 1:19.49. That's one of the better laps on the track back there for Mike Rasmus. And really, really strong, solid run from the series rookie. Let's check back in here on board with Ricky Harden and see what he's doing. The 17th position here, Ricky. The heart in the wall. Number 5 car for Unacceptable Racing. Teammates with Tommy Ryan back there and Ricky Harden. Gotten really into the streaming world here for the Carolina native. Not his best run, but clean and comfortable so far, and sometimes it's all you can ask for in one of these races.
He definitely wins the prize for multi-purpose overalls. He's of course got the lumberjack outfit on there in that car.
Love that shot there. The flannels, the workers' gloves, the overall
I love it.
jeans. That's wonderful. All he's missing is a hard hat on his helmet. Got to work on that.
Yeah.
See if we can get Tyler Graphics to paint him up one of those. Certain avoidable contact penalty on the 888 car, and that's the Racing Kangaroo, Michael Graves, way back there in 23rd. So not sure what happened there, but here he is to pit road to serve that avoidable contact penalty, and he certainly has made contact with somebody. I know this because I can see the front wing of the race car, and also he just got an avoidable contact penalty. So call me clairvoyant, but that was pretty easy to predict. As Michael Gray serves his drive-through. Hey, let's take a look here. Racing action. P6, Chris Reagan, Dustin Wardlow. Hopefully the commentator's curse doesn't come back to strike these two here. As we have 10 laps to go. You are watching the -273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. The month of June is underway for the Lionheart Racing Series, powered by HyperX. We have the Lionheart IndyCar Series kicking off its month of June next week here at this track. And then the Lionheart Retro Series takes to the Oval for its Indianapolis 200-mile event. And then, of course, the last Wednesday of the month, the 25th, I believe it is, we have the HyperX Race for the Pole for the Lionheart IndyCar Series. And then we have the HyperX Indianapolis 500 on the final Sunday of the month of June here. That is the 28th. It's 24th for qualifying, the 28th for the race. And if you missed the announcement at the start of the broadcast, HyperX is giving away over $900 in product to the fans. If you're watching this right now, you can get free HyperX product if you can guess the fastest qualifier for the Indianapolis 500, in other words, the pole winner. If you can guess the top 5 drivers in order or the closest to the order, then you can also win HyperX product, and then it also goes the same for the Indianapolis 500. If you can guess the winner, if you can guess the driver with the fastest lap of the race, and if you can guess the leader at halfway, you have a chance to win a litany of prizes, including the Blackout Gaming headset, which is a Cloud Alpha S model, $130 value, the Alloy Elite RGB mechanical gaming keyboard, the Pulse Fire Dart gaming mouse, and the Fury Ultra RGB mouse pad. There's 2 combo packs, almost $300 value for both of those as well. Tweet your answers using the hashtag HX500. Tag the Lionheart Racing Series on Twitter and Facebook as well. And stay tuned to the Lionheart social media channels. The entries will only be accepted until June. The entries will be accepted starting on June 21st and will end on qualifying day on the 24th. So you have a chance to check in on how drivers are doing in practice. Of course, the Lionheart Series does a great job of updating drivers, fans throughout the week on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram as well, as far as how practice and practice times are going, and got a chance to win some prizes. So stay tuned to the Lionheart social media channels for more information on those great giveaways from our friends at HyperX. Win one of those Cloud Gamer headsets right now. We sure do love them. Little Train under attack from Luis Diaz. Diaz has worked his way back up to 12th on board, looking out the front of that race car. Boy, look at that hornet's nest that's around them. That's Little Train just in front of Little Train is Aaron Morgan. Just in front of Aaron Morgan is David Clymer. So 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And you can throw a virtual blanket over the 4 of them with 8 laps to go here at IMS.
Yeah, watch for Diaz. He's the last lap. He set his fastest lap of the race again. So certainly whenever he's in recovery mode, he is super, super quick. So he is a 1 minute 19.1 last time out. All the guys in front of him are much, much slower than that, nearly a second slower. So watch Diaz. He's got to make some strong moves, but he could possibly pinch a top 10 after an eventful race.
And don't look now, but the battle for 6th isn't going anywhere. Here comes Dustin Wardlow down the front straightaway on Chris Reagan. These two have been going at it all night long. And Wardlow back around Reagan into turn 1 and off of 2.
Yeah, brilliant move there from the Candyman, Wardlow, in the Dewar's machine. But I don't think this battle is over one bit. We've got 7 laps to go here. Of course, quite a short lap here on the Indianapolis road course, in these Lotus 79s under 1 minute and 20 seconds a lap. So not long to go in this one.
Going back now to the 10th position battle. Aaron Morgan and Little Train and Luis Diaz. David Clymer up there in 9th has pulled out a little bit. Boy, Diaz actually lost some time. It's now a Morgan who has not only closed in on, or Little Train that's closed in on Morgan, but he is right there on him. And now they're actually both starting to catch Clymer as well. Oh boy, look at Little Train cutting that corner. And the Sim's going to let him get away with it. Boy, that's a great way to get a good run here and try to use the draft if you can cut the corner like that. And here comes Little Train trying to close in on Aaron Morgan down the front straightaway. Morgan goes low. Little Train pops to the outside. And he's going to get the help of Clymer draft in front of him, Peter.
Yeah, the Little Train in the Callisto, the 97, was very, very quick on that previous lap or two there, really answering to the pace of Diaz. And actually, they've really dropped Diaz, so perhaps maybe a little mistake there.
Aaron Morgan, the pit lane parlay onboard camera for the number 48 for Avatar Auto Racing. A pit lane parlay, one of the newer sponsors here of the Lionheart series. The best podcast for exclusive IndyCar content year-round is at pitlaneparlay.com.
I'll have to listen to that. I'm a big fan of motorsport podcasts, so I'll need to check out Pit Lane Parlay to see what's going on in the IndyCar series. And of course, we saw Scott Dixon making a winning return to the IndyCar series a couple of days ago.
More auto racing back as NASCAR has already returned and now IndyCar is back. I work for the NHRA and we'll be back in just over a month from now in Indianapolis as well. So things slowly starting to return to a little bit of normalcy for the auto racing fans out there as Wardlow trying to hold off Reagan and do a nice job of it. We got 5 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Checking in on Sage Karam, whose lead is almost 10 seconds over Ryan Otis as Sage putting another car a lap down there. That was Travis Jagerlander, who was actually bringing that car to pit road. Not been the best night for Travis back there in the 24th position. On board with Ryan Otis, your HyperX onboard camera. And Raven Motorsports Black Entry, series points leader. No matter what, if he finishes in second, he'll still leave here with the points lead. But Sage Caramel doing a great job of cutting into that. And after the last 2 weeks where Sage had there was a hardware problem at Pocono that took him out, and then he just admitted that he didn't put enough time in at Phillip Island. He tried to jump in the car and go and was involved in 2 on-track incidents and then crashed himself out coming to pit road while in the top 3. Back-to-back bad weeks for Sage in a series that allows 2 drops. And remember, Sage had already lost out on a drop week earlier this year, I do believe, as he missed the season opener for the Lionheart series.
No, it's Richie. But Ryan Otis. If he holds his position here, this will be his 5th top 5 finish in 7 races. So very, very impressive from the number 1 car. And I have to say that James Hunt-esque paint scheme is very, very special indeed.
That's a throwback to the livery that kind of originated with James Hunt and worked its way over to the United States and eventually turned into the paint scheme that Team Penske became known for in its dominating run in the 90s and 2000s, American open wheel racing. Number 1 car of Ryan Otis, who's plenty accustomed to being out there all by himself and drifting a race car around. He participates in the SCCA time trial events, autocrossing it. That's kind of what he's doing right now with nobody out there to interact with. He's just out there on autocross drive.
We've got a couple of new members to the sub 119 second club, Jason. We've actually got the number 70 of Richie Hearn. He's got under the 1 minute 19 second gap. And also the number 52 of Razumith continues to impress. On his debut in the series, one of only 3 drivers to break that 1 minute 19 barrier. As you see on the bottom right of your screen, 1 minute 18.7. So he's right up there with the pace of Sage Karam. Very, very impressive. And, well, we could see him challenging for victories as the season progresses.
Top 5 cars are all kind of out there by themselves with 2 laps to go here at Indy. Karam, Otis, Hearn, Rasmus, and Sandman. Wardlow and Reagan are still within striking distance of each other in 6th and 7th, although Wardlow has started to open it up a little. Go take a look at 9th place. David Clymer. David Clymer in 9th, Little Train, Lionel Callisto in 10th, Luis Diaz in 11th. You see them there all on the screen.
And now Ryan Otis, the number 1, he doesn't want to be left out. You mentioned he was autocrossing. Well, he's put in his fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 18.9. So these Lotus 79s now on very low fuel as we approach the end of the race. And yeah, the drivers really, no need for them to push actually, but great to see them doing so.
Sage Karam out of turn number 1 on the big oval for the penultimate time, and the white flag is in the air here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Sage Karam just lopped off the fastest lap of the race at a 1:18.61, and he does it on the second to last lap of the event. And Karam can now cruise around the road course here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The start of what Sage Karam hopes is a strong sweep of the month of June. Here in the Lionheart Series, you know he's going to be the favorite in the IndyCar road course event next week. You know he will be one of the favorites when the Retro Series returns to the 2.5-mile oval. And you absolutely know, after winning the top split Indy 500 in the fixed series for Lionheart, that Sage Karam is going to be the favorite when the Lionheart IndyCar Series comes to IMS for the Indy 500, a HyperX Indy 500 at the end of the year. But tonight, the month of June starts in the right way. Off for the final corner for the final time, Sage Karam, in a dominating performance, wins the -273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Here comes Ryan Otis to finish in 2nd. And now we'll go check in on the best battles on the track. A Little Train and David Clymer had an incident, it sounds like. So we're going to have to keep an eye on how they all come across the stripe here. Well, and I don't know what happened to Richie Hearn, but Mike Rasmus came home in 3rd in his debut. So Richie had an incident at the end of the race. Oh, Richie's still wrecking down the front straightaway. What happened at the end of this race? Richie Hearn falls from 3rd to 5th. Rasmus is 3rd. Sandman and Hearn and Wardlow and Reagan. And here comes everybody else around. Jason Bossy, Little Train, Paulston Malone. Let's go take a look and see what happened with Little Train and David Clymer. This is on the final lap. Looking at Little Train. Oh wait, Clymer's already around at that point. Here it is. In turn 1 is where the incident happened. Oh, into 2, a little bit of wheel contact there, maybe. Hard to tell if they made contact. Clymer slides off, and then he almost hangs on to it. Here's another look from up above. Oh, it's still hard to tell. It might have been netcode contact. We'll have to let the race admins work things out on that one. Boy, an exciting finish to this one here at Indianapolis. We'll take a break and return, and we'll talk to your race winner. Sage Karam going to burn it down on the bricks here in Indianapolis. Welcome back to the minus 273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis in the HyperX post-race show, the Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX. When you're trying to claw your way to the top of the podium, it pays to have an ultra-comfortable, high-quality headset. It gives you the audio information you need to grab the checkered flag. From high-performance DRAM and SSDs to outstanding mics, accurate mice, responsive keyboards, the legendary cloud line of gaming headsets, HyperX makes the gaming gear you need to succeed. Casual or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Don't forget the promo code LionHRT15 at HyperXGaming.com. I'm Jason Galvin alongside of Peter Mackay. Great to have you with us here. And another one in the books for the Lionheart Retro Series presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. Let's take a look now at the Turn Racing finishing order. Turn Racing merging the gap between real and sim racing. Use the promo code LionHeart10 at turnracing.com. A dominating performance for Sage Karam, the 10th win in 22 starts in his Lionheart Retro Series career, and he does it by leading 47 of the 48 laps here at IMS. Ryan Otis, the defending series champion and points leader, comes home second. Mike Rasmus, in his series debut, snags a podium spot on the final lap. George Sandman comes home fourth. We did go back and look. Richie Hearn ended up in an incident with Ryan Cornish, who was a lap down and lost control, and Richie had nowhere to go. That's why that race car had so much damage. Did a great job of limping it home to fifth, but we feel for you, Richie. Had a car deserving a third place here tonight. The Candyman, a great run for Dustin Wardlow, the Bakersfield native, and that Dewards Candy entry up to sixth. Chris Reagan comes home seventh. Classy Jason Bossy in the eighth place with Little Train, Lionel Callisto, and James Paulson. A great run for James Paulson to sneak into the top 10 at the end of the race.
Seventh was the 34 of Trevor Malone, followed by Luis Diaz, a newbie to the Lionheart series, and an eventful debut, but showing some very good pace. In 13th was Phineas DeCuna, 14th Aaron Morgan, 15th Scott Holmes, 16th Ricky Harden, 17th was Tommy Ryan, 18th was David Clymer, 19th Bruno Miranda, and rounding out the top 20, Paul Jenkins.
In the 21st spot, Mike, don't call him Eleanor Rigney. George Anzaldo, the series founder, back there in 22nd. Michael Gray, after giving that penalty for avoidable contact, finishes 23rd. Sam Crow, Travis Jaeger-Leonard back there in 25th. We mentioned Ryan Corns, that incident late in the race with Richie Hearn, finishes 26th. Adrian Fernandez, you feel for him, was involved in that wreck with Mike Rigney and Scott McClendon, and had to retire back there in 27th in his Lionheart debut. Adam Young comes home in 28th, followed by Bobby Mikes and Dean Mardi Gras Mall in the 30th spot. Tyson Landis and Scott McClendon, the final two cars here in this one. Well, let's talk to our race winner, and he did it in style here tonight as we enter the Sim Experience Victory Lane. The Sim Experience AccuForce steering systems, the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Direct Drive, second only to the real thing. Check out the entire line of Sim Experience products at simexperience.com. For the 10th time in 22 starts, Sage Karam, the Pennsylvania native, comes home with the win here tonight. Sage, congratulations. Boy, you talk about some redemption from Phillip Island. I know you talked about how disappointed you were. You were feeling some kind of sim rig burnout. You didn't put a lot of laps in. You made some mistakes. You ended up crashing out of that race. Not the case at all here tonight. I'm not sure you dropped a wheel wrong the entire event.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a good bounce back race for us. You know, we've had two races in a row before this that didn't really go to plan. So, yeah, I mean, the last race at Phillip Island, you know, I didn't really have anything for Ryan. I didn't really do a lot of practice, and you know, once that happened, I was like, all right, I got to make sure I get this back for the next one. And I knew it was another road course coming up here at Indy. So, yeah, I put some practice in and felt a lot more confident coming into today. And you know, it was a good race. I got the pole, and you know, I feel like with here it was going to be a matter of if I could break the draft early on, just because these cars draft really well, and the straightaway here is pretty massive. So, you know, all day today I really practiced just my qual laps, and then also my out laps on cold tires, so I could really capitalize on that first lap. And I think that's kind of what did it for me. I was able to, you know, pull like a 1.2 second lead early on, and was able to, you know, pull away after that.
Got a busy month of June coming up here for the IndyCar and Retro Series and Lionheart and the sim racing side. I know for you, you're getting busy in real life because you're getting ready to jump back in the seat of an IndyCar here in a couple more weeks. So you get the month of June here at IMS, and I know, look, it's just a sim, and we all do this for fun, but it must be cool to you as somebody who grew up wanting to drive race cars and wanting to race Indy cars and have been able to fulfill that dream to race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to be part of a series like we have here at Lionheart with the month of June and all that the series has put into making this feel like it's a special month for the sim racers too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely really cool. You know, I mean, anytime you can race around Indy in any car, it's pretty special. I mean, even in real life, when I got to race there in Indy Lights for the first time for the Freedom 100, that was like a dream come true. You know, I'll never forget that moment when I was able to like do my first laps there. So, yeah, it's definitely really cool. You know, I wish iRacing had the new layout of IMS road course on it, just because I feel like that layout is even more fun to drive than this one. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that we get to come here, you know, more than one time now in a season. And like you said, you know, things are starting to ramp up for me. I'll be down in Charlotte at the Chevrolet simulator in a couple weeks. And trying to balance the real racing with sim racing gets tough, but I think I'll be able to manage it, and I don't think I'll be able. I don't think I'll miss anything. But if I am not at my rig, I'll try and find out a way to get into somebody else's. When I'm in Indianapolis or something.
I was gonna say, I think if you're in Charlotte at the Chevy simulator, I bet we can find somebody in the greater Charlotte area that has a rig now. Turns out everybody in Charlotte has an iRacing rig over the last 3 months.
Yeah, I know. Sim racing stuff is it's hard to come by nowadays. It's like everybody bought everything after this all started. But yeah, no, I mean it's I think I fly into Charlotte. I do my sim running the next day, and then I fly home and I land like 2 hours before we do the Lionheart 500 qualifying. So it'll be a busy day for sure.
Definitely will. Well, Sage, hey, congratulations. Another great run for you tonight. Good to see you back in top shape here and taking home the win here tonight. And we'll see you next week on the IndyCar side of things here at IM.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Sage Karam, your race winner here tonight in the Retro Series at IMS. And Peter, you've caught up the defending series champion and came home strong.
Ryan Otis, defending series champion and still championship leader after a great second place run today. How was it from your seat behind the wheel?
Oh man, this is such a tough track to drive, and I feel like every lap it feels just a little bit different, and the setup we were running here was really, really challenging. I thought it was great fun. Kind of my whole plan at the start was to try to stay in the draft with Sage, and then I just lost the front end at that last right-hander, and he stretched it out to like 1.1 or 1.2, and I was like, oh no! So now I gotta try to keep up on merit, and that's going to be tough. So I didn't quite have the pace for him, but I was happy to bring it home in second.
Well, you certainly had the ultimate pace with him. You're only 700ths of a second between your two best lap times together. Speaking of that best lap time, a 1 minute 18.6 was set very late on in the race. Did the car just come alive on the low fuel?
Yeah. When the tires get old and you get really low on fuel, it gets a bit twitchy and tough to hold on to, but if you can kind of ride that edge just right, it can crank off some really fast laps. I felt like, in terms of ultimate speed, I was really only maybe a half a tenth or a tenth behind Sage, but he was just clicking them off a lot more consistently than I was. So he definitely earned it tonight for sure.
Well, a very solid, second place, and of course your fifth top five out of the 7 races so far. Now, finally, I must ask you about your paint scheme. Now, of course, this white and red livery is very, very famous in motorsport. Are you a James Hunt fan or a Penske IndyCar fan, or where's the inspiration for using that color scheme?
It's really the sort of early '90s Penske IndyCar that I was kind of going for. I'm a big fan of that, and of course the same basic livery was used in McLaren and Senna, Prost, all that stuff. So it's definitely made the rounds in terms of phenomenal drivers.
Well, it's certainly bringing you good fortune in the series so far. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a little shout out to on air?
Oh, I just have to again thank my wonderful wife for putting up with me when I do all this sim racing stuff. I put in a lot of practice time on the race week, and she's super understanding and helpful with taking care of the kids and stuff. When I run in here and start playing around on computers. So I owe it all to her for sure.
Well, Mrs. Otis sounds like a superstar to me. Thanks for coming in to chat to us, and good luck in the next race.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Ryan Otis, your defending series champion, coming home in the second spot here tonight at Indianapolis. And we'll move on and talk to our third place finisher. And boy, I tell you what, if Vegas had betting odds on the Lionheart Retro Series races, I bet you could have made some pretty good money tonight if you picked the 52 car to come home in P3. What happened? Oh, did we just lose Mike? Oh boy, I think Sean jinxed him. Mike Rasmus, we just brought him in to chat. Okay, we're going to give him a second. See if he can't find his way back here. It's Mike Rasmus. I want to talk to him. What a great run it was for Mike to come home on the podium in the third position here tonight. And
he doesn't want to
see
give
if we can't
away
get
his
him back
secret.
in here. He just PM'd me that he couldn't hear us. So I just told him to come back in here and see if we can't get that sorted out. Because I'd love to hear from Mike Rasmus. But you're right, Peter. Maybe he doesn't want to give away his secrets. It's like, nah, guys. I just showed up and finished behind Sage Karam and Ryan Otis. So you finished behind Sage Karam and Ryan Otis. Mike, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
There it is. Mike Now, I got to apologize because normally I like to talk to our newcomers first and make sure. But let's start with the glaring obvious part here. Are we saying it right? Is it Rasmus?
Rasmus, yeah, that's pretty close.
Okay, so we're doing good. Yes, we're in the ballpark. Look, even a blind squirrel finds nuts sometimes.
You'd
Mike, great. I wouldn't actually, unfortunately. But Mike, hey, what a great run tonight. You snuck onto the podium there on the last couple laps because Richie Hearn had some problems. But even before that, I got to tell you, we were so impressed for you to show up here in the Lionheart Retro Series and a star-studded field of real-life drivers and some great sim racers as well, and you fit right in. And if you look at where you finished in the standings tonight, anybody who can slide in their first Lionheart race and they finished between Ryan Otis and George Sandman, you're doing something right, man. Congratulations. What a debut.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I had some practice here before because I run the Lotus 79 official series, which is also broadcast on GSRC on Sundays. So luckily I came into my first race being pretty comfortable with the track, and then it's just about learning the setup, and everything Ryan said is true. It's like, you never know what you're going to get the next corner, so you kind of always have to be adjusting, and I found that to be really fun this week. So I'm stoked to get a third place.
You run the official series, which means that you're either building your own setups or getting setups from somebody else and kind of tweaking them with them. Talk to me a little bit about kind of the differences between driving this car with a setup that you can build to your own preference, so to speak, and driving a fixed setup.
Yeah, I mean, making your own setup, you have the adjustments available to you during the race, and you can kind of just drive your own style and make the adjustments to the car. But when you have a fixed setup, you have to adjust your own driving. So I find it's really educational for me to have to deal with someone else's setup and to kind of figure out what makes it tick.
So let me ask you, you obviously have plenty of seat time in an L79, and you've raced on a lot of road courses. How many laps have you turned with one of these things on?
Well, I did there was an event called the Fake 500 that ran the Indy Oval in the 79 a few weeks ago. It was 500 miles, just like the Indy 500, and that was pretty crazy. The cars are pretty hard to drive, even on the oval. So I'm excited for the next race here.
Man, look at you! You rolled in just in time. You got experience on this track. You've got oval experience at Indy. Talk to me after you run this thing at Gateway.
Yeah,
that'll be when we can have a real fun conversation. It's a ton of fun though. You're gonna love it. This is my favorite car to drive on ovals because it's so much fun. But hey, congratulations, Mike. Welcome to Lionheart. What a debut for you. Great to have somebody else who can get up there at the top 5 and really battle it out with some of these guys. And before we let you go, anybody out there that you want to thank?
George for letting me join and asking me to come in. It's great to be able to race with some of the real racers and Indy guys, and also really fast sim racers like Ryan and George.
Well, congratulations, Mike. Great to have you here as part of the Lionheart family, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple more weeks when we head to the IMS.
Thanks.
That's Mike Rasmus comes home in third place in his debut here in the Lionheart Retro Series presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. And that's going to do it for us here from IMS in the Road Course. I want to thank Of course, the title sponsor for the Lionheart series is the DMLC Racing channel. Looking for entertainment? Want some fun? Sim racing reaction? Some sim racing related videos? Do you want to know what the 87 Cup car is like? Head on over to the DMLC Racing channel because Mark Cohn, the Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year in 2019, has all of that information and so much more. You can subscribe to the DMLC Racing channel on YouTube or Facebook as well. HyperX, whatever you play, however you play it, HyperX knows all gamers. Don't forget that promo code LionHRT15 at hyperxgaming.com. When I built my new sim rig 2 months ago, I used that promo code. I saved myself 15%, just like you can. HyperXgaming.com. Sim Experience, second only to the real thing. SimExperience.com. Get yourself an AccuForce. You won't regret it. And get yourself a butt kicker as well. Find out what you've been missing. Use the promo code LION2020 at thebuttkicker.com. Plenty of other sponsors that help make the Lionheart series go round and round here on GSRC and the IESN, and boy, we can't thank them enough. They're all popping up on your screen. If you want to learn more about any one of these sponsors in particular, do us a favor. Head on over to LionheartRacingSeries.com. There's also full post-race recaps of all of our racing events with the Lionheart series. The original music you hear on every GSRC broadcast comes to us courtesy of June Milan. Find the contact info here on the screen, along with some of the other great companies that help the Global Sim Racing channel make these great productions happen. Lionheart Retro Series returns for round number 8. Thursday, June 25th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And GSRC and IESN are going to be there and bring you all of the L79 action on the 2.5-mile, four-corner famed speedway, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We sure hope that you'll join us. If you'd like more information about GSRC, head on over to globalsimracingchannel.com. Follow us on social media as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Plenty of other great GSRC events coming up. Did I see the Jetta? Boy, we've got a Jetta series. I need to check into that. Go run one of those things. Hey, do you know GSRC's got merchandise? You should. GSRC.storeenvy.com as well. Finally, on behalf of our great crew here tonight, Peter, great job filling in for Brian on the broadcast. Appreciate it. Sean and Dougie, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I'm Jason Galvin saying congratulations to Sage Karam, your winner, the -273 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Until next time, remember, the only one who remembers when you come home in second is your wife and your dog. Good night.